excited to see Summit Council people there tonight. I always say there should be at least 21 citizens at freeholder meetings, one from every town, representing every town. Council people came out and they work really hard, council people. It's not like being a freeholder. They're on committees and they're out every night. And for them to show up, I was very impressed with that. Not to mention Summit's about 30 minutes away from the county administration building. So that's an hour round trip right there. So hopefully they'll keep coming out. And Summit has been very successful at keeping their tax rate down, both with their school board and the municipality. And they do that in conjunction with a citizens group called the Summit Taxpayers Association. And I think they just changed their name. They joined up with New Providence. I'm pretty sure it's New Providence. So it's the Summit New Providence Taxpayers Association. And I hope they keep coming around and keep, I don't know. I hope they don't get frustrated. But more importantly, my suggestions to the freeholders were they should go to Summit. They should go sit on those Taxpayers Association meetings or get on their email list and just start paying attention to that, to how they're keeping their taxes down, how they're working with citizens group, because they need help. They do need help, and that's not a put down. The numbers don't lie. County taxes are out of control. Summit's been managing to keep the line on taxes and be responsible, so they could offer a lot to taxpayers across Union County. Summit.
Yeah, actually, that would be a good idea. Chairman Mirabella, whenever he becomes chairman, he talks about mobile meetings. Mm-hmm. There is that one at Clark, I'm sure you remember well.
Yeah.
There was last time he actually took it to the people in the county buildings. One was over in Plainfield, but actually a mobile meeting would be a good idea, probably to Summit. As a suggestion, in conjunction with the Taxpayers Association meeting, maybe, so at least there'd be a lot of people there.
He should go to a Taxpayers Association meeting.
Well,
he should be going to his freeholder meeting where, that's why I said I hope they don't get frustrated and stop coming, because there's really no business discussed at meetings. You get up, you talk, they listen to you, maybe they'll answer a question, maybe they won't. But they should be going to the taxpayers, they should be going to Summit saying, what are you doing so successfully? We want to learn, we want to model you. That's what they should be doing.
The county will never go to somebody.
No, they're never going to lower the tax rate.
They expect them to come to, they sit on their ivory tower and they wait.
Well, they're not going to learn from Summit when Summit's going there and, patting them on the back, just being polite, politically polite, saying, whatever. But when he said, what did he say? I almost fell out of my chair.
It was a love fest.
He complimented George Devaney.
Oh, yeah. He said he scrubbed the budget. He scrubbed the budget.
I turned to Bruce and said, I was absent that day, because I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
That was way overboard.
Yeah, meanwhile,
they political, so kind of Machiavellian, give a compliment and try and work with them, but that was nutty. That was a nutty thing to say.
I would encourage, I acknowledge that George Devaney, your predecessor, Al, did a great job of scrubbing costs last year, scrubbing into the bone, and yet still, he couldn't make up for the $10 million loss in state and federal aid that evaporated from the on the revenue side.
President Madden of the council thanked
he scrubbed the safe from Music Fest too.
He scrubbed the safe.
A lot of things.
All right. Anyway, but no, you know what the problem is? The council people of the different towns are accountable to the people. They are right there. The people are like 10 feet away.
They work really hard to get elected in Summit.
Oh yeah, and also the other towns.
They're truly elected. They are.
But the county, they're so disassociated.
You have to work hard to get elected in Garwood.
The county's disassociated. That's the problem.
No.
They sit up there. They don't care.
They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they get 13. Like I keep telling the freeholders, 13 to 14 towns out of 21 towns reject their system. And that's like 60 to 70%.
Yeah, even the Cranford freeholder, she loses by a lot. She never gets elected in Cranford, and she doesn't only just misses it. She really gets slammed.
Yeah, they're not accountable. That's the problem.
No, people don't want them. But we're stuck with them. For Summit, what do they say their tax rate is? Something ridiculous.
1.9%. They're keeping it under 2%.
They're paying most of.
Oh yeah. Both of them, two of them stressed. That's right. They have 4% of the county population, and I think they were saying 11% or 12% of the county taxes they pay.
Right.
I mean,
and they get nothing back for it.
And they get some of the streets and intersections are worked on. I mean, that is a couple million, but they must pay if it's 12% of the county taxes.
I'm sure they'd rather do it themselves and get rid of county government.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, they get nothing.
And they could do it better.
So, but they were there, and that we have to compliment them. And Tina did bring up in a public speaking portion that every town should have at least one council person as a liaison. Come down and sit there and listen, and just listen to what's going on and read the agenda. I doubt if any council people sit there and read the agenda online. I doubt it.
I know a lot that do.
They do? Okay. Well, that's good. That's at least a plus.
I know council people that are paying attention. They are. They're a lot. They're on our watchdog email list. I know, and I talk to people all the time. But as far as going there and trying to reach out hands and try and get involved, it's interesting. We'll see. Hopefully, they'll keep at it.
Yeah. Just one more thing. A resident in Garwood, and she said not to mention her name, but she says what each council governing body of the town should do is, after the freeholders vote on their agenda, the agenda should be forwarded down to the towns, and the towns can veto certain resolutions, or at least vote up and down on the agenda. I said that would actually make sense, because then the
How are
people.
you going to do? You would need some major legislation to accomplish that.
No, they can easily. Oh yeah, it won't be a binding vote, but just send the minutes or the agenda down there.
Some people are so busy
just have the
running their
council.
towns. They
Well,
really are.
they're definitely
They work
responsible
really
to us.
hard. They work way harder than freeholders do.
Yeah.
They're out every night, and they really
I know,
are
you-
accountable to people. These freeholders, they show up for a ribbon cutting,
No,
a
see,
meeting here
the
and
problem
there.
is we really do need activist governing bodies in the towns. We need more active, because like Summit, I don't think they really roll over, but they sure kissed up tonight. And I'll tell you, a lot of towns
First
obviously just
meeting,
roll
though.
over.
Give them a
First
break.
meeting. Okay.
And they don't know any
I'll cut them
better.
some slack right now, but
They don't know. What do they know from George Devaney? They say a silly thing like that. I don't know.
scrub the budget.
That's a silly thing to
Scrub the
say.
budget. I know.
It's silly.
They should get their asses to
It
the
was
meetings
way
more
over
often.
the top. And it really just,
all right.
how much do they know?
Let's
They'll
go on to
learn.
another topic. I think we beat this one.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Rich Madden, Summit Council President. Congratulations to all of you on your new positions. And I read your speech of January, Mr. Chairman, and I thought it was very well done. I liked your initiatives. And congratulations again.
Thank you.
The reason I'm here is I've asked several representatives from council to attempt to get involved with the county meetings, add some inputs, don't complain, compliment whenever possible, but let the county know, since we're not represented directly on your board, what's going on with us. Okay, one of the factors that's critical to Summit right now is the equalization factor. We've been hit pretty hard going into 2012. It appears that our Board of Education and our city taxes will probably be up somewhere between 0 and 1.5%. Preliminary estimates indicates that our county taxes will be up about 8%. Okay, now that's not all your fault, because the state sets the equalization formula. And we're going to get hit, it appears, about an extra $2.5 billion, which is heavy. Not everyone in Summit can afford increased taxes, and so we'd like you to consider going forward in your budgeting process, just helping us out in any way you can. You've done a fine job with a couple of the resolutions in there that you've just approved. We're thankful for that. Need some traffic assistance, some park assistance now and then. If grant money is available, we'll be happy to apply for that. But the big tax hit, see, we comprise 4%, approximately 4% of the county's population, and we're getting hit with close to 11% of the county's taxes. So this is serious for us, and we'd like to consider going forward what you can do to help us, because we'd like to see things controlled as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, appreciate it. Good luck in your new position.
Mr. Chairman, freeholders, good evening. Dave Baumgars. I'm also on council from Summit, a past president of the council, and this year I'm chairing the Finance Personnel Committee, and I'm also sitting on the Board of School Estimate. We're one of the few communities in New Jersey where the mayor selects the Board of Education. We have a Board of School Estimate then that develops the Board of Education's budget. But my theme is the same as Councilman Rich Madden is urging you to develop a budget that is as, I would say, as flat as possible. In Summit, we have just received our first budget from the administration. We're going to discuss it as a council on February the 15th. And right out of the box, the rate increase for an average home in Summit is going to increase about 1.44%. And we'd like to get that down further. Last year it was 1.9%. I'm speaking municipal budget. This year we see our appropriations, our expenditures increasing by 0.01, while we see our revenues decreasing by 2.18%. And then that comes to, relates to a 1.44% rate increase on the average home of about $410,000. So what we really focus on going forward is trying to stay flat in our expenditures and our tax rate, but looking at shared services. And I think the three of us that are here from Summit attended your shared services seminar last, I think it was last spring. I think it was just still chilly. And we do quite a bit of shared services in Summit. We share a health officer with Westfield. We have a health inspector that's shared with Westfield, a health nurse with Overlook Hospital. We have a tax assessor that we share with New Providence. We have a part-time tax collector that is also with Plainsboro. And we also do some work in sharing public works equipment with the county. And so we're looking for more opportunities to share services with the county. And especially pleased with the resolution tonight, 101, which is a shared services agreement on an additional intersection at Kent Place Boulevard and Passaic. And as Mr. Madden had said, we thank you for all the work you did following up on Resolution 105, which is the change order for the Broad Street corridor. That's a tremendous project, big undertaking, a little under $1 million, and we're pleased that it went as well as it has, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I too am from Summit. I'm Tom Getson, one of the elected officials. As Rich Madden mentioned earlier ahead of us, though, we represent only 4% of your population, sir, and yet over 10% of your taxes are going to be coming from Summit. In fact, I believe Summit is going to be now, in 2012, your largest single taxpayer of the 21 towns. So we'd like you to possibly, or at least us for one, would like to see you think about declaring what I call a fiscal emergency and instruct Al Fela to issue a budget that is very, very, very tight and does three things. One, first at least honor the nominal 2% cap, the way many of your towns, such as Summit, are already doing voluntarily. But we're not making use of the legal categorical exceptions. We actually honor our nominal 2% cap, as you heard from Councilman Baumgars. That's a significant change in marching order. I think you've not actually had that marching tool in the past, so please consider that for number one. Secondly, I would encourage you to think about changing the mix of your workforce through attrition, of course, and retain fewer full-time employees. This is something that Summit has had great success at doing. We're actually down over 10% of our workforce since 2009, and it's paying off, Mr. Mirabella, in terms of our pension bill finally. Believe it or not, Summit's pension invoice this year from the state is going to be down 10%. Down 10%, because we've significantly changed the mix of our workforce. So that's the second strategy. I would encourage, I acknowledge that George Devaney, your predecessor, Al, did a great job of scrubbing costs last year, scrubbing into the bone, and yet still he couldn't make up for the $10 million loss in state and federal aid that evaporated from the budget on the revenue side. So painful trade-off decisions such as privatizing Reynolds Hospital, discontinuing the Music Fest are going to have to be taken. It's unfortunate, but they're not sustainable without it. Moody's, I believe, put you on credit watch last year for the fact that you've got $550 million of bonds outstanding. So I don't think incremental borrowing is another choice as well either. Which brings me to my third point then. I think you've heard this before. By declaring a temporary fiscal emergency, I think you might have a chance at reducing your open space tax assessment this year. I know it takes an actual referendum on the ballot in November to do it permanently, but if you declare a fiscal emergency, it seems to me you might have a chance at reducing in half, at least for this particular calendar year, the open space tax assessment, which in our case would be a significant savings. So those are the three strategies that you ought to consider. I've given a copy of my statement to Nicole. You'll pass it to the people? And thank you very much for trying.
Thank you.